Welcome back to my channel. Triple H has managed to spark one of the most unbelievable controversies in modern WWE history by making a decision that many are calling nothing short of professional self-destruction. By firing Gunther after a match that Triple H himself approved, produced, and promoted, WWE's chief content officer has effectively undermined his own authority and credibility. This was not a spontaneous incident caused by backstage chaos or misconduct. This was a deliberate creative choice followed by an even more deliberate act of corporate panic. Gunther, widely regarded as the most consistent and dominant in-ring performer in WWE today, has allegedly been dismissed simply for winning a match he was booked to win, a match that was marketed as John Cena's final bout on Monday Night Raw. That alone raises serious questions about leadership, accountability, and the future direction of WWE under Triple H's control. This situation goes far beyond one controversial finish. It exposes a troubling reality where performers are punished for executing the creative vision handed to them, all because sections of the fan base reacted emotionally. Gunther did exactly what was asked of him. He wrestled the match as planned, delivered a performance worthy of a main event spotlight, and helped create a moment that honored both a retiring legend and a reigning champion. Yet instead of being praised, he became the scapegoat for fan disappointment. This is not strength in leadership. This is corporate cowardice at its worst, sacrificing talent to appease online outrage rather than standing firm behind storytelling logic. To fully understand how absurd this decision is, we need to walk through what actually happened on Monday Night Raw. WWE heavily promoted the episode as featuring John Cena's final WWE match. For weeks, fans were reminded of Cena's 20-year legacy, his countless championships, his role as the face of the company for an entire generation, and the emotional weight of seeing him step into a WWE ring one last time. The match was positioned as John Cena versus Gunther for the Intercontinental Championship, framed as Cena's final opportunity to capture one more title before retiring for good. The story was simple, effective, and powerful. An aging legend seeking one last moment of glory against a dominant champion who had defined the modern era of the Intercontinental title. From a storytelling perspective, it was nearly perfect. You had the veteran with nothing left to prove but everything left to feel, standing across the ring from a champion whose reign symbolized discipline, brutality, and excellence. Gunther had held the title longer than almost anyone in history, elevating it through hard-hitting matches and a serious, sports-like presentation. Cena, on the other hand, represented nostalgia, resilience, and heart. Fans knew this could go either way, and that uncertainty is exactly what made the match compelling. When the bell rang, both men delivered far beyond expectations. For nearly half an hour, they told a story through physicality, pacing, and emotion. Gunther leaned into his methodical, punishing offense, targeting Cena's chest with thunderous chops that echoed throughout the arena and left visible damage. Cena responded with bursts of energy, digging deep into his arsenal, refusing to go quietly. The near falls were perfectly timed. The crowd was invested, reacting to every big move and every dramatic pause. Cena hit the attitude adjustment not once, not twice, but multiple times, each attempt feeling like it could be the end. Gunther kicked out, reinforcing his status as an unstoppable force while also making Cena look determined and resilient. The back-and-forth action embodied exactly what a final match should be. It was competitive without being unrealistic, emotional without being manipulative, and respectful without being self-indulgent. Both men looked strong. Both men looked important. As the match reached its climax, Cena attempted yet another attitude adjustment, reaching deep into his remaining strength. Gunther countered, shifting momentum in a split second, hoisting Cena up and driving him down with a devastating powerbomb. Without hesitation, Gunther followed with his signature splash. The referee counted 3. The match was over. Gunther retained the Intercontinental Championship. John Cena's in-ring WWE career had come to an end. The immediate crowd reaction was mixed, and that is an important detail that has been conveniently ignored by critics. Some fans booed out of disappointment, not anger. They wanted to see their hero ride off with one final victory. Others applauded, recognizing the quality of the match and the story that had been told. The dominant emotion was not outrage, but bittersweet acceptance. This was not a hostile crowd turning on the product. This was an audience processing the end of an era. Gunther's post-match actions further highlighted the class of the moment. He stood tall, championship in hand, as any dominant champion should. Then, instead of gloating or walking away, he helped Cena to his feet. He extended his hand. Cena accepted, shaking his hand and raising Gunther's arm in the air. The two men embraced in the center of the ring as the crowd rose to its feet. It was a moment of mutual respect, symbolizing the passing of the torch from one generation to the next. Cena then took the microphone and addressed the audience. His speech was heartfelt and sincere. He thanked the fans, the company, and the locker room. Most importantly, he praised Gunther directly, calling him everything a champion should be and acknowledging that he had been beaten fair and square. Cena made it clear that the Intercontinental Championship mattered because of performers like Gunther. These were not scripted platitudes. They felt genuine, coming from a man who understands wrestling at its core. The show ended with Cena taking one final bow as the crowd chanted his name and fellow wrestlers emerged from the back to applaud him. It was a respectful, emotional send-off. The match, the finish, and the aftermath all made sense. It was a textbook example of how to retire a legend without undermining the future. Then social media happened. Within minutes, platforms were flooded with emotional reactions. Some fans felt Cena deserved to win. Others argued that losing his final match was disrespectful. Hashtags trended. Wrestling media amplified the outrage with sensational headlines. What should have been a temporary wave of disappointment quickly turned into a manufactured controversy. Instead of letting emotions settle and explaining the logic behind the story, Triple H reportedly panicked. He issued a public statement acknowledging fan disappointment, effectively validating the idea that creative decisions should be reversed when fans complain loudly enough. That alone was a mistake. Wrestling has never been about guaranteeing happy endings. It has always been about stories, and sometimes those stories end in loss. But the situation escalated dramatically when reports emerged that Triple H had called an emergency meeting and decided to fire Gunther. The reasoning given internally was that Gunther failed to read the room and should have made Cena look stronger in defeat. This reasoning collapses under even minimal scrutiny. Gunther does not book matches. This decision is indefensible. It must be reversed. Gunther deserves better. Wrestling deserves better. And WWE must remember that not every story ends with the hero winning, but every story should end with respect.